Welcome to Reading the Green and our golf and fantasy sports show. My name is Mike with Kyle and Jordan on Tuesday, November 14th. Guys, this is essentially the last real show of the year. You ready?
Sure. I mean,
Kyle's
I'm
not
more
ready.
looking forward to a weird beer night in the future, but yeah.
We'll talk about the upcoming episodes, some of the fun stuff. Kyle, what are you leaving the country tomorrow or something?
I am, and I'm not packed yet. I need to finalize that. It's taken a little bit of time away from my research this week, believe it or not.
The more important question is, are your kids packed? Are you?
Kids don't have to go anywhere. Luckily, they're
Oh,
coming here.
okay.
We got a
All your
rotating
daycare.
cast of characters, family members staying with them. But that part makes it a little easier. But yeah, we got to get packed. Leave at 12:40 tomorrow, so we're counting down what we got 15 hours till departure.
That's
Jordan, how you doing?
exciting. That's exciting. Good. It's been a while since I've been on the pod. I don't know how often you guys have done it, but
Well, yeah, I just haven't done a lot of pods.
And to be fair, sometimes when you're here, Jordan, are you really here?
what'd you say?
Classic. Yeah, pods have been few and far between. We've been hitting about every other week, but you know what? Real golf tournaments have been few and far between. So we are committed to a really great RSM preview, and then a couple of great episodes. I mean, in the month of December, we're going to squeeze in our weird beer, back by popular demand, our third annual weird beer episode, and we promise to rerun installments 1 and 2 to get everybody pre-gamed for what is usually a super fun night, and then a cellar night whenever we get the haul back from the BCPS drops. And I got a barrel age that I'd like to share with you guys. But yeah, good shows coming up for other crap that we'll talk about.
Is there barrel age called burial?
I did a Kyle and I confused burial and barrel, but it's
Oh yeah, that is a very Kyle. Thank you. I appreciate you doing that to help me out.
All right. Well, let me ask you guys this question though. It's Thanksgiving next week, and we all got different things going on, I suppose, for the holiday. But how about golf and or DFS wise, Kyle? What are you thankful for this year?
Ooh, you know what? We should make sure to make this note for a discussion point for a weird beer night. We need to revisit our hot takes or predictions from early January last year.
Okay.
I know I got one pretty accurate, and then the others not as much.
So you're thankful for your prognostication or what?
Well, I'm just thinking general. So thankful for golf wise. I'm just happy with how many times I got out this year. I got out a decent amount. I had one good round. I broke 90. That was what I said I was set out to do. Yeah, just thankful for being able to play a little bit.
Jordan, how about you?
That's always the thing to be thankful about is any time I'm out on the golf course. No matter how many times it is, it's always fun. Trying to think of anything. No, I didn't have any big golf trips this year. Next year, I'm thankful for us planning one already.
Yeah. Speaking of, we have like things that need to happen, but we'll come back to that. I guess I'm thankful for the number of rounds this year. I played more than last year, which I think, Jordan, is usually your resolution, play more than you did the year before, but yeah. I actually did. And
I don't think I got there this year. I think I was a couple short of last year. But that's what a 1/2-year-old will do to you.
For sure. Well, and in the same note, I'm thankful for places like, I'll shout out to the Braemar Academy 9, which, Kyle, I know is pretty low on your list of executive courses, but I had a couple of really nice rounds with my kids out there, and actually getting to the point where they could almost like golf the course was pretty cool. Like, it kind of made me see the future of golf in the family. So I'm thankful for getting over that. My 18-month-old is still eating golf balls, but we made progress the other two.
You got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
That's a good one, Mike. I'll say that I got Sloan out a few times in the golf cart. She mostly played in the bunkers, which we were the last tee time, so I didn't care. It's fun. She has no interest in golf whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I keep getting texts from what our friend Joe, I don't know what his pod name or his DraftKings name is, but of his kid hitting like 100-yard shots as the same age as my 4-year-old. It's like, you a-hole, just rubbing it in my face.
Slow learner, slow developer. It happens.
Anything on the betting side, Kyle, that you got that you're thankful for this year?
It was not a great year betting wise, and Minnesota still didn't get their act together. That's not great. Hopefully that's something we can look forward to in 2024. Overall, just not quite the year I was looking for in the betting and even DFS world.
So maybe you're thankful for a new calendar year coming up. Let's restart the books.
Ready to turn the page.
All right. Well, let's run through beer really quick, and then we'll talk about this thing apparently called the Buddy B. We'll let Jordan figure out what the Buddy B is. But Kyle, are you familiar with Exhile Brewing?
I am. Des Moines, Iowa, represent.
My father-in-law does this thing usually right before they leave for Florida for the winter, where he brings all the beer in their fridge and puts it in my fridge.
So you get some Jordan level, nice aged brews, I'm guessing.
It's all fine. It just is more like not stuff I'd buy. But this is Ruthie Gold Lager. In 1953, 23-year-old Ruthie opened her lounge in Des Moines, and this beer is named after an American icon, Exhile Ruthie.
My mother is a big fan of Ruthie from Exhile.
Okay, well,
yeah.
Cheers.
Nice.
You guys got anything?
I will say I found a beer in my fridge that doesn't even have a label. It's got a story to it, but it's at least 3-4 years old. Small batch. I don't even think it might not have been pasteurized. So we may all have the shits after we drink it, but it was good a long time ago.
Yeah,
I'll tell you more about the story on the pod night.
The point there is that you just assume we're going to drink it.
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
I won't tell
so
you
what are you drinking? Yeah. What are you actually drinking?
A little double false pattern. You guys I'm actually trying to clear out my fridge. I have not bought beer in a month, 2 months, and I'm trying to drink through everything that's left in there. And anything that doesn't get drank before I buy, I'm just going to dump out.
Support your decisions.
Other than the special ones, I'll save for you guys.
Yeah. How you got a Malbec over there, or what?
I'm really excited to share this with you guys. Preparing for the trip tomorrow, I have a hot tea tonight.
Okay, that's not surprising. You'll probably be doing a lot of imbibing, I'm sure, over the next week and a half.
Yeah. I need a little break beforehand.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we'll go quickly through the Buddy B. Jordan, you know what the Buddy B is?
Sounds like a barbecue place.
Yeah, actually, there is a place in Minnesota called Buddy Boy. The Buddy B is the Butterfield Bermuda. The tournament this past weekend, the Butterfield Bermuda Championship. I didn't watch any of it, to be honest, but I did bet on it, and this was one of the more shocking Thursday Fridays that we've had in DFS history. I think. I mean, basically, based on the reaction of some of the touts that we're going back and forth on Twitter with, I don't think we've really seen this. 60% of the players in the field made the cut, which is really, really high for a full field event where the cut is usually around 40 or 50%. That resulted in 86% of our model's players making the cut, when normally we're in the 60% range. But 86% of our model players making the cut, which meant around 40% of lineups were 6 of 6 across DFS contests. 40%. Usually, what's that, Kyle? 5 to 10? Like 10 on a bad week?
Yeah, for sure.
It was absolute like carnage then over the weekend for having what you had to like reset your expectations because you were like, oh, I had a 6 of 6 lineup. All my lineups were 6 of 6, and yet I didn't cash some of them, despite having 6 players make the cut. So basically,
Yeah, and I
there's no cut
wasn't
of that.
following it close enough. I just saw I had a couple 6 of 6s. I got excited until you burst my bubble.
It was, and I think Cut Sweats, Nelson Adcock responded saying this is just a chalk smash, and it was like this chalkiest of chalk smashes that you could imagine. So I'd love to say that our model had a great week. Statistically, it did, but so did everybody else's, and therefore there was no differentiation, and you basically had to have the nuts like a no-cut event in order to do well. Anyways, so that being said, Camille Villegas wins. Are you guys tracking his trajectory the last couple of weeks?
Second, and
Sure.
then gets the dub.
And
he had it won for 9 years.
9 years. He has gone through a lot of hardship. Obviously, the story's been told, but like he's really, really struggled as a professional. I'm sure personally as well, and hasn't won for 9 years. But he'd fallen to like 250th in the world, and like he's missing cuts on Corn Ferry. Like this guy, he's gonna have a tough time bringing in money based on the way he's playing, and he comes with 2 absolutely ridiculous starts to move up to like 75th in the world. And so he's going to be able to get into all the majors next year, or at least the Masters, and a number of the events next year. I guess he won't get into the signature events necessarily, but he will get a full PGA Tour slate. And that's just a huge deal for a guy at 41 years old that's kind of playing for his career. So kind of cool to see.
I think a great way to paint that picture is his money list ranking now the year is 1.9 million. When he won 1.1 this week for winning, 100K the previous week for getting second.
Yeah. So he's basically earned in the last 2 weeks what he'd earned the entire year.
No, I mean, well, exactly. Yeah, pretty much. Less than 200K the rest of the year.
I see. I misunderstood that. You're saying the 1.9 was inclusive of the 1.7 that he won in the last 2 weeks.
Yes.
Oh man,
that's nuts.
Yeah, good for him.
I mean, previous to that, at the Nationwide Children's Hospital Corn Ferry event, he won $7,965. At the Albertsons Boise Open by Chevron, T43 for $6,844.
Well, you can see how even making cuts on Corn Ferry, it's tough to pay the bills, and you got to play ridiculously good golf I mean, you got to shoot 66 every day. That's what makes Corn Ferry so tough, is the guys play really, really good golf every week. I was going back and forth with a friend of mine whose, brother-in-law's sister is married to I don't do the math. Brother-in-law's sister is married to a Corn Ferry golfer. And he's shown up in a couple of PGA Tour events. I think he played down at El Cardinal a couple weeks ago, but he's just missing cuts. Corn Ferry lets him. And he's young. He's 23 years old, and he's just doing this. And I said, he's probably not paying the bills a whole lot if he's made 2 cuts this season on Corn Ferry. And his response was, he's got no kids. His parents are bankrolling him, and he's just doing this to kind of see what it's like and sleeping on couches and whatever. And I was kind of like, that's really cool. Like, I mean, like, give it a shot, but eventually, I hope he comes to terms with. I hope eventually there's like a hard conversation that says you either can do this or you can't.
So to circle all the way back there, yeah, he's made $85,000 this year outside of the last 2 events. He's only made the cut 2 starts on the PGA Tour at Puerto Rico and Punta Cana, and then the rest is all Corn Ferry money. And his best Corn Ferry finish was T7. Outside of that, he did not have a top 20 until the last 2 weeks. Hey, there's always hope. There's always hope. That's what I'm trading away.
Well, a lot of the guys on Twitter basically said, like, when you see struggling golfers, and someone who had a lot of talent, obviously, and still does, but when you see struggling golfers, like, you just have no idea, like, how fine the line is between finishing first and second 2 weeks in a row and missing every single cut, no matter what level you're playing at. Like, good golf can always just be right around the corner, and all it just takes is whatever it is, a few good thoughts, a few good vibes, putts go in, and all of a sudden it's the exact opposite. It's crazy how that can happen. That doesn't really happen in other sports.
Yeah.
Maybe it does. This guy Josh Dobbs kind of came out of nowhere to like somehow look ridiculously good, but that's for our NFL podcast.
Are we going to talk about the other golf tournament this week, Mike?
Yeah. Let me know. What do you want to talk about?
The Nedbank Golf Challenge.
How about you give us the recap? I was like, I could not really follow why I should care.
Well, Max Homa won, and he also went on a safari with JT. That's about as much as I know.
So Nedbank is the Africa Open, and it's a part of the DP World Tour. So these guys like went on a safari and then decided to hang around and play the golf tournament, or what?
Yeah. It's hosted by Gary Player. I did know a little bit more about it. Apparently it was the first event to ever have $1 million purse. Tiger has won it in the past, but they had a pretty good field. In the top 10, you had Homa, obviously, Nikolai Horjgaard, JT,
Højgaard,
Rasmus, Aaron Rye, Tommy Fleetwood was 12. So it was Yannick Paul, Adrian Barank, Vincent Norman, a lot of our DP guys we liked. Thirsty Lawrence.
Yeah. Which reminds me, Kyle, in the prep, I forgot to ask you. Can you remind me who won the Butterfield Bermuda? I'm blanking now. Who are we talking about?
Villegas.
Oh, Villegas. Are you sure it's not Villegas?
I just say his first name. You need to practice. You need to practice. You got a big week coming up.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Is your name Camilo Villegas?
Yeah.
Can I get a taxi, please?
Villegas.
All right. Well, I'm sure. Yeah, that was a cool. I was kind of following, I guess, the Nedbank mostly through social media, but yeah, it seems like Max Homa had fun, and I wish maybe there was a few players that leaned a little more into the DP World Tour stuff. Although it just seems like they wanted a cool vacation, so I might have to follow up a bit of why they were actually there. You guys ready to talk about RSM Classic?
Sure.
This week always sneaks up on me. I mean, I'm rocking the hat. Like, I'm pumped for the RSM. It sneaks up on me that this is literally like the best in we have for a golf tournament.
Yeah, didn't we have we had a special guest last year?
We had Bailey, my sister-in-law / RSM sports marketing manager, on for the players, since she was down at Sawgrass earlier this year.
Yeah.
But every year we get to November, and I think 90 Degree Rule was guest host last year for the event. But you'd think if with a little bit more planning, we'd get a little more access. But alas, you have the three of us to talk about the RSM, which we know, I guess a little bit about. But Sea Island, Georgia, I have not been down there. I heard it's very nice. This is basically Davis Love's city. And you get, I think one of the reasons the field is so strong is because it attracts the Georgia boys. It's like anybody that grew up playing golf for Georgia Tech, bunch of guys that make their, semi-residence down in Sea Island now. You get a bunch of names that show up here that, Harmon, Henley, guys like Kisner and Webb Simpson are going to play here year after year. So you do get sort of at least kind of like a celebrity field, I suppose, or a star-studded field, the best you can this time of year. But Sea Island, Georgia, last year Adam Svensson won his last full field event of the year. Kyle, do you know what it takes to get it done at the Plantation or the Seaside courses at Sea Island?
Well, let me read you through all the prep I did. Pretty busy day over here. So I wrote down, this is my notes, word for word. There's two courses, Plantation course, which is a par 72, and a Seaside course, which is a par 70. That's my notes.
Those are facts.
Nice. Kyle, when you said Sea Island really fast earlier, I thought you said Seattle. And I was like, it's weird to have a golf tournament in Seattle in November.
I think the Pacific Northwesters would probably tell you it's weird to have a golf tournament in the Pacific Northwest, which is actually, like, if you think about it, sorry to tangent, but like they don't really play PGA Tour golf out there. I mean, Chambers Bay, once every decade, we get like a Washington event, but that's always a gripe, is that PGA Tour golf goes to California, Texas, Florida, Northeast, occasionally the Midwest for tournaments doesn't care about, and never the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, there's got to be a bunch of good tournaments out or courses out in Seattle, Portland, that area,
Yeah,
other
for
than
sure.
like the, Bandon and
Yeah,
Chambers
I
Bay.
think it's I don't know what it is. I think it's, corporate politics, but
So I appreciate you guys. They're giving me a little time to get my head on straight and find my other notes. But what we do want this week, Mike, is good iron play and putting. There's a lot of hazards, so you need to keep the ball in play. Wind has a pretty big impact on the Seaside course, but that's hard to take into account with the two courses in play. So stroke hitting's approach, strokes game putting, total driving, birdies are better. And then last year, Svensson got it done around the green. So need to find those target golfers. And Mikey hit on this, but there is 16 guys in the field, according to the media guide, that have ties to the area locally. Jonathan Bird, Harris English, Joey Garber, don't know that guy. Do you know that guy?
Joey
Nope.
Gabber.
Joey Garber,
bad mafia guy.
Will Gordon, Ben Griffin, Brian Hartman, Garrick Higo, Zach Johnson. I don't know why he's on the list. Does he live down there now? Is that why it's there? But
maybe.
Well, he
RSM
live
hits
in
her
Iowa.
tournament. Patton Kazire, Davis Love III, obviously Keith Mitchell, Andrew Novak, JT Poston, Grayson Sick, Davis Thompson, and Michael Thompson.
I also think that some of that premium on iron play translates to the tee as well, at least on a plantation course. I think you are going to have to be pretty accurate. There are quite a few hazards, a lot of marshy areas. Speaking from experience, I played this course one time on a TrackMan. It was really freaking hard. There was nowhere to hit the ball, and I couldn't imagine, with my shot dispersion, having to play this in real life. So I think short hitters might be able to get it done, only because if you're someone like Brian Harmon, there's a premium on 3 out of the 4 rounds getting the ball in the fairway.
And I think it speaks to exactly that. But if you look at strokes gained since 2008, minimum 20 rounds, your top 5 guys are Webb Simpson, Kevin Kisner, Chris Kirk, JJ Spahn, and Brian Harmon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you have also Zach Johnson, Matt Kuchar, Russell Henley, Denny McCarthy rounding out the top 15.
The other nugget that I saw was weather could be just absolutely all over the place here. Could get wet. When you're trying to then play the weather and you end up with delays, that can also backfire. But some of the early takes were AM PM stack was probably the way to go, only because it seemed like Friday was going to be the easiest conditions. Friday afternoon would be the easiest conditions. So hopefully your guys can get it done Thursday morning, or just play Showdown Friday and stack the afternoon. But AM PM is probably the way to lean this week if you can. That being said, Kyle, you want to jump into the model and see how many Sea Island Georgia Bulldogs we have near the top?
Yeah, we lead right away with 1 Davis Thompson on that list of 16 I mentioned. 55% mention share so far. Pretty strong in the MPI as well. He's followed up by Eric Cole, someone we saw he's been playing great all around, but really strong showing in the southeast portion of the PGA Tour last year, especially the Florida run. He's 9,000 this week, and he's also at 55% mention share. Matthew Neesmith is next, 7,000 salary, 46% mention share. And then Billy Horschel and Denny McCarthy are rounding out with the top 5 for us, 37% mention share. They're both in the 8K range this week. Some old horses there, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I think there's a lot of premium that's going to be put on course history here, and then the rest probably goes on form, obviously. But the thing that I think I am a little cautious of is guys that I haven't seen for about 2 months. I have no idea what they've been doing. Roll into Sea Island, despite solid form, and just expect them to play awesome. I look at the list, someone like Denny McCarthy, for example. Like I know you said he's probably top 15 course history guy here. Literally no form. Like he has not been playing golf. So it's hard to, as much as I'd like to back him this week in a place I know he's comfortable, he hasn't played since the BMW championship.
Yeah, I agree. That's a tough take. Yeah. So I'll probably go a little bit of both. Cash lineup strategy, guys, how they're playing. Maybe take a little bit more shot in the GPP lineups with some guys that have the course history, but maybe you don't know what they've been doing. You don't know if the last time if they've been grinding or what.
Where were we when Denny McCarthy was the highest priced golfer in the field? Was that like the John Deere or somewhere around the end of the tour season? We're talking about Denny McCarthy being the highest priced player in the field. Like that's not that long ago. And I'm picking on him a little bit, but he did finish 10th at the BMW and he finished 66th at the FedEx. But like, it's not like he's played poorly. He just hasn't played. And now he's down to 8,700 in this field. And he's getting passed by guys like Eric Cole, who have been playing a bunch, but arguably don't have the history at this golf course. And, McCarthy's still, a better all around player. So I don't know I don't know what to do with those guys. And we'll have to like kind of wait to see what we think ownership's going to do with some of those guys. Cause I have no idea how the community thinks about Denny McCarthy, but a couple of guys I think that I'll probably skip down to power index wise. I like, JJ Spawn has been playing pretty well. He finished 67th at the WWT at El Cardinal, but he also finished 6th at the Zozo, 46th at the Shriners, 11th at the Fortinet. So he's had a nice run here in the fall golf, and he's got the history at Sea Island. Like that's the kind of guy I want to look for, who's both been playing and is a good course bet. So I'd probably start looking at JJ Spawn this week, 8,099 on our power index.
I like it, Mike. Similar vibe for me. I like starting with my boy JTP, 9,300 on a price point, a little bit more expensive, but he's 28% mention share. Strong MPI. I mean, he finished last year the regular season with the playoffs on a heater, and the one time we've seen him this fall at the Shriners, he came out and got third. So he's kept it going. Granted, we haven't seen him the last 3 weeks. But I just love his form. You go back to the John Deere T6, Scottish Open T6, T41, T2, T7, T24, T22, and T3, and it has the local ties. So that's a place I want to start some lineups this week, and he's T21 here last year.
Jordan, where do you lean? Who do you like this week?
Well, I missed who Mike picked, so I'll try not to pick the same. I'm gonna go way down the list. We've got one guy at the bottom that is getting a lot of power index love. Did you cover Mark Hubbard or no?
No, go for it.
Look at that.
Tell us why you like Mark Hubbard.
Because he's got an 87 MPI. I like to go with the model. He's only got one mention. It was Gadula. Is that how you say it? Gadula at Number Fire. Who I'm pretty sure I've heard Kyle say is pretty good picking. But yeah, so, we've got a ton of people with one mention. I feel like way more than we normally have. But he's got the highest MPI. So I went Mark Hubbard.
Hubbard did finish 20th last week, so he's played well. This is the Bermuda, which, Kyle, was Bermuda where Hubbard and Damon had the like overnight puking episode with everyone in the house got sick?
I was trying to remember. I thought that was an alt field week though.
You think so? It was somewhere in the Caribbean. So it either was like the Bahamas or Bermuda, somewhere. They could probably find this, but they were in like a rental. Everybody got sick. Kids got sick. Hubbard's puking his brains out, withdraws the next morning. So arguably, if that is right, that it was Bermuda, then it's a huge turnaround to finishing T20. So I will give you that, Jordan, that he has a little bit of form in the last week. I don't know. I think there's going to be a ton of value. You don't got to go all the way down to Brian Harman, Ludwig Gobert to be your 10K players who are ranked, really 20 and 25th in our model so far. So I think you're going to be able to have a really balanced lineup this week with lots of options for savings. I mean, even someone like Doc Redman is getting a little bit of love at 27% of the mention share right now at $6,500. So I think there's going to be a lot of ways to pack in value. And if you do want to go and find, I mean, I guess I'd probably stay away from Cam Young this week. I don't know what kind of golfer he is these days. But if you want to go up and spend up for Brian Harman at 10-3, even though he hasn't played, really comfortable around this golf course, plenty of options to pick from then at the top of the RTG model.
Speaking of the top, we should probably talk about Davis Thompson a little bit. He did miss the cut here last year, but has been showing some good form this fall. T22, T30, T16, T35, and T15. In the courses we do have true strokes gain data on, he's been positive on approach every event and positive off the tee. So I do like the fit for him based on what he's been doing, even though he doesn't necessarily have the course history here. And as we mentioned, a local guy. And then the other guy I was going to highlight, Mike, that is not getting love in our model so far is Chesson Hadley. He's made 7 cuts in a row, including 3 top 7 finishes. He including 1 at each in Vegas, down in Cabo. So his rolling ranks from stroke gain standpoint have been flying up the chart. So he does not have great history here. Does not have a top 20 in 10 starts. But talking about a guy that seems to have found something in his game, I think you can do worse than looking at Chesson Hadley for a click.
All right. I do have a question. I also this is a bit of a stall because I gotta do my homework on one more guy here. But Billy Horschel rising to the top. How concerned are you that Billy's been on the media tour for TGL and potentially could be a little distracted, knocking off some of the rust here going into the RSM Classic?
He had a pretty good stretch of Euro golf recently, so at least there's that, right? So if in case you weren't paying attention to what he was doing overseas after he got 4th at the Wyndham and then did not make it into the playoffs. Horizon Irish Open T45, BMW PGA Championship T18, the Open de France T20, and Alfred Dunhill T14. So he's at least showing a little bit more than we saw from him most of last year. So you maybe can get a little ownership break there if people still have that in their mind and haven't been paying attention to his performance across the pond.
Someone like Rick Gaiman will preach, you got to look at the full picture. A lot of these guys that play overseas do not get the attention when they put up good numbers. So that's a good find. That's a good find that maybe you can steal a little bit of ownership from people not paying attention there. Harris English, the guy that's right now topping out the power index. I don't know that it will stay this way. Harris has not played a lot. Last time he played was the PGA, or was the BMW, excuse me. And
he plays less golf than I do.
It's kind of crazy. And again, like, what do these guys do? What is he doing for 2 months in the off season? I think he ranks statistically here pretty well, 8th in the field in strokes gained approach through putting, and 21st or better in all 3 stats. So I think statistically he's a good fit for this event and ranks out pretty well for the field. Hasn't played a bunch, and his course history here is his best finish is T6, so it's okay. So yeah, so I think plenty of options to choose from. I think we've hit in a couple of guys that we really like. We'll see what comes in over the next 24 hours. Kyle, you want to hit on tiers really quick?
Yeah, if you're looking for a little bit of a pivot play in tiers, let's go down to tier 4. We mentioned a lot of these guys: Billy Horschel, Denny McCarthy, Brendan Todd, Keith Mitchell, Luke Liss, Akshay Bhatia. If we talked about Horschel and Denny and what they might look like coming in. Keith Mitchell's going to get seamed up as a Sea Isle guy. So if maybe a place to pivot would be Brendan Todd. 19% mention share, so he's getting a little love, but the people that are on him are some of our stronger contributors, at least over the past year. So I think the Todd father might be a click for it. You got Spencer over at Rotoballer and Lynn Hogberg at RotoWire looking at Todd this week.
Yeah, Brendan Todd had a good, I think he was T20 last week in Bermuda. So he's been playing decent. Not a bad take for a guy that just kind of stripes it off the tee. So there it is, the RSM Classic, the last full field event of the year. Will take about 6 weeks before we get to Hawaii and just a fully loaded 2024. I look forward to our beer episodes the rest of this winter.
Me too.
We'll make sure that, yeah, I know you do. They're like weird beer. I mean, I can't say enough good things. It's my only chance to walk into a liquor store and say, give me the weirdest thing you have. And someone will look at me and say, why would you pay money for this? And I say, I got two guys that will appreciate it.
I just go to my fridge.
I know that's.
I think our listeners look forward to it too. They really like when Jordan leans in to.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about what I texted you guys. Last week, 2 weeks ago? The crowler that I found in there in the back of my fridge. It literally has like November 12th is the date that it was canned, but that was 2022.
Was this not a story that Jordan already told tonight, Kyle? Like, is he not even listening to the own things that he says? Didn't he already say he found an unlabeled beer that was like, it was a different
This
beer?
one was labeled. This was
a label. Yeah, the one is an unlabeled 12-ounce bottle, and the other one is a crowler. Okay. Yes, that is labeled. It's Mr. Boyle. What is that? The Fair State?
Yeah, I think it was.
I don't even know what it is.
Well,
you guys are making me want a beer.
I do have on deck.
Your vacation has started. Get a beer, bro.
I got a lot of days ahead.
You won't go to sleep. That's my problem.
Well, actually, I will. To that point. I am going to take a sleep aid tonight, so I can go to sleep because otherwise I'd be too tuned up, and I don't want to cross wires.
I'm the opposite. I would rather get very little sleeps and then sleep on the plane versus get a really good night's sleep and then not sleep on the plane.
I'll have a 10-hour overnight flight tomorrow. But at least we don't have to super change time zones like going to Europe. So my plan is, and we have 4 hours in Atlanta. So my plan is to get to Atlanta, find somewhere nice to eat, have a couple beers there, get on the plane, have one bourbon. Yeah, get on the plane, have one bourbon, and then be out.
Kyle, we will miss you. I hope you have a great trip.
Thank you.
The pod will be here when you get back.
Yes, have fun.
And Jordan, have a wonderful Thanksgiving, whatever you are doing. If you do, I think it was last year, you crossed paths with some of the swag execs. Ask them what the hell is going on. And
I don't think I'm going to reach out this year. But I will get us more BCBS in Chicago.
Thank you.
Because there's a whole truckload of it, so you don't need to go wait in line.
Oh, I'm going to, though. You don't understand. I don't get very few mornings off around here. So my excuse to go sit at Total Wine on my phone for 2 hours.
Tell her you're going there and just go to the simulator. The good news is none of our wives listen to this, so we can talk like this. But just go to the simulator for 2 hours, get 18, 36, and come home.
I can't wait for our first simulator outing of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much, I know people golfing tomorrow here, by the way.
Oh, yeah. It's beautiful here. I don't know why we close golf courses.
Yeah. I would be if we didn't, if I didn't have a shitty meeting day. We're still open. Are you guys still open, Mike?
No. They closed. Yeah.
We're still open.
My brother-in-law's course is not open. But yeah, 65 today. It was very windy. But it was great.
Today would have been a miserable wind day, but still November golf. Also, I can't find that crowler that I have. I can't find anywhere in Untapped.
Perfect.
Jordan, I think Mike's trying to cut us off.
I think
I'm
so.
not trying to cut you off, but I think the listeners want to go to sleep, and
So does Mike.
we got to save some of the goodies for the rest of the year here. So that's it. We'll be back, I guess, in a couple of weeks. We haven't hit the exact date. It'll probably be a couple of weeks after the holidays, after Thanksgiving, with our Weird Beer episode, followed by our Cellar Nights. Otherwise, you can find our content on any major podcast platform, our YouTube channel, Reading the Green, and Twitter @RTG Podcast DFS. See you in a few.